you guys do that? Because
Well,
you're the
I think
king,
it
right?
was so beautiful, your combination with him, because it represented the music so much that it was all inclusive. And that, reggae music, even though we recognize the blackness and the Africanness in reggae music, it still was an all inclusive concept.
Yeah. And see, he was interested, like I was, playing people who had not gotten a name, but had good music. And plus, we were interested in playing some African music. Lady Smith, Black Mambazo, those kind of artists, and some of them would come to town. So we wanted to introduce, we tried to educate because we introduced a song. If we had something to say about it, we tag it with that. So that gave people a wide range of information. So we got concert tickets, we gave them away. And because I worked at this commercial radio station that has money, they had marketing, t-shirts, pens, cups. So we was like, meet us here. We got giveaways. So everybody's like, get in the car. We go and find the beat. The beat had a van that went to all kinds of events in the community, not just reggae. So we were there 10 years together. Then by that time, um, the ownership had changed at the beat. And the lady, what's her name? She owned 13 radio stations. Ah, gosh. Did I tell you her name, Mashariki? I think I did.
Is the lady that owns that is now owner of TV1, Kathy Hughes?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, maybe.
Did you
What
taste the
is,
watermelon?
huh, say that again?
No, that was Clovette
Yeah.
Cutler's.
I believe
Mike
it
is
was
on.
Kathy
Huh?
Hughes.
Kathy Hughes.
I
Yeah,
believe it was Kathy
I believe it was
Hughes because
Kathy
she
It
Hughes.
was.
is. It
Yeah.
was it was Kathy Hughes. Kathy Hughes was a powerhouse woman. Well, she hired some lady named Isabel or something. I forgot that lady's name to be music director over all these stations. That lady was from like the Midwest or something. She didn't get reggae. She didn't understand why Kathy had a reggae program on her station. Back to not being exposed. So she decided we she that we had to go. But we stayed there 10 years. And because we stayed there 10 years, we got a pension. We have benefits, and I get paid. In fact, I got paid today from AFTRA, SAG, from radio. So that's a monthly thing. And I told Scott's wife when he passed, I said, your husband has retirement money. Go find it. And she's telling me, I don't know if I'm gonna stay in the house, if I could keep the house. I said, your husband got some money. And he made more money than I did there because remember, he was the director. He was the director over promotions. So, follow the money. But anyway, long story short story, back to we tried and people missed us so much. So then we went to K Day. It was short lived, didn't happen there. And it was just, oh gosh, we miss radio so much. But sometimes good things do come to an end, and you have to accept that. But the Bob Marley days had not stopped. So that was continuing on. But I'm going to tell you, to be a promoter and have a mic to your accessibility to promote what you're doing, it couldn't get any sweeter than that. You save thousands of dollars in advertising when you have access to the media. And back then, when we started everything, honey, we didn't have no computers. We printed flyers and walked around with them in our purse and put them on cars and went to every club, every venue. We did promotion by foot. and word of mouth. And I tell people, I don't walk the best. I'm not the best walker anymore because I walk the streets. And I didn't walk no streets in no tennis shoes, baby. I walk the streets in heels because I believe in dressing up. I had that kind of mama.
Hello.
True that.
Fine styling.
So, we promote it that way. But of course, we bought ads at the LA Weekly, the LA Times, and we bought promotions on other radio stations, including KHLH. And then they would give us a proposal for our money, and then we would approve it or not. And then I tried to voice the commercials, and so because people knew my voice, so I kept the voice out there like that. And then we got to the last Bob Marley day, and looked like it just it. See, when you're going down a road and you go down that road all the time and everything's the same, one day that road has changed and you either need to cross over, go to the right, go to the left, make a change. And if you don't do that, you're stuck. So when we had the last show, we were losing money and we saw it. We saw it in the arena, we saw it in the box office, and my partner got mad. I said, look here, why are you mad? I'm losing this money. I'm losing it too. Because remember, I'm his partner. So, we pull a lot of stuff together. We pull out our credit cards, let's say that, for airline tickets and things like that. Those are the
Yes,
great art.
Rashaki. Thanks for showing um the artists through the years because these artists, my God, I was left breathless. Breathless. The amount of quality entertainment. I mean, this is the entertainment that set the standard for this thing called reggae music. These artists that you're looking at now. My God. Oh my God. I think I danced at every one.
Anybody was anybody we basically had. We didn't have 100%. Like I never had Dennis Brown, but I had Gregory Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I just told him, look at here, Moss. We have won every year. You can't take 1 year that we lose. What we do is we go back to the drawing board and then we revamp, we rewrite the script. We'll change some stuff around. He was so mad about his money. A man and his money can turn fool. So he was so mad about his money. But we've always made money. And I didn't understand that spirit and it got nasty. So guess what? I was out. And I wasn't in it for that. I wasn't in it to lose, but I wasn't in it for conflict, confusion, fighting. Remember, I watched that stuff behind the scenes. I didn't like that behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that. But anyway, because I want a ragamuffin. I didn't tell you the story about how I got the name, the ragamuffins. You want to hear that one?
Well, please do.
Yes.
Well, Henry and I were having couples problems. And Henry did not want me any longer involved with the concert. Then I learned it was because Henry had become a drug addict. Okay. And I tried everything to kind of turn that around, but it was like in my face here, and I couldn't really see it at first. Remember, I'm a social worker. I have so many cases with drug addicts. But when it's close to home, you don't see it that quickly. Because the Henry that I knew, I would never think that he would dabble in that kind of drug or cocaine. And there were people going after Henry. And these people he was talking to was like, why are you talking to them? You know, they were giving him money. and they were asking for tapes. They were asking him for, we had incorporated Reggae for Cultural Awareness. They had asked him for the seal. They asked him for the paperwork, and he was giving them that stuff. So I parted from him, and I just packed a bag and went to Jamaica. And a lady named not Jenje, it was Abana. Jenje and her were very good friends. I think they might have been roommates or something one time. Weren't you guys roommates?
Yes, we were. We were roommates. We tried. We
Well,
were
you
roommates.
were okay. So she came as my roommate at the hotel in Montego Bay. It was Sun. I don't know if it was Splash or Fest. Then it might have changed to Sun Fest, but it started off as Sun Splash. But anyway, we went there, and my head was spinning, honey, spinning, spinning. I'm a thinker, so my head was spinning. Where am I? What am I gonna do? You know, where do I move forward, and how do I move forward? So she was dating one of the members, Pipe, of the Wailing Souls, and Jenje was dating Garth Dennis. So those musicians were around us, and they kind of like, I won't say they didn't take over our room, but they hung out in our room a lot. And I didn't get mad because I wasn't like, well, this is my room and I didn't get into that with them. I listened to their conversations, and they were very disciplined too, like Henry was. And they were very serious about their music. And there were a lot of different people that was knocking at the door wanting to talk to them, from photographers to interviewers to radio people to record company people. And yeah, I respected who they were. I didn't know a lot about them, but I knew they were someone in the business. So, you know, when I wanted some privacy, I kind of like moved to my bedroom. And I'm still in my mind is what am I going to do? How am I going to move forward? Henry's can't. I couldn't rely on Henry anymore. Once I find out that you're involved in drugs, and I had gone by his place where he was standing in a storefront, and he didn't recognize me. He didn't recognize me. I said, Henry, it's Barbara. Oh, okay. I said, I'm out in the field because I worked the field a lot for the county. I said, I use the bathroom. Can I use your bathroom? He said, yeah, yeah. I said, show me. I went to the bathroom. He didn't have no toilet paper in there. I said, okay, this don't look right. So I was in there hollering, you know, he didn't answer me. So I looked at my purse. I had tissue. So I got back to him and I said, what is wrong with you? Or have you lost your ever living mind? And why are you living like this? What are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Because Henry was a very sophisticated, clean man. Uh, he was someone women would look up to. And he,
Stylish.
yeah, fine. But anyway, that's what was going on with him. And I had to accept that. But that didn't mean that I was going to join him with that. So when I cut the deal also with Moss Jacobs, I said, you can't exclude him. He said, what do you mean? I said, he's part of this. He's having trouble. He knew. People in the music business know who's on drugs. Sometimes they are too. And we're not talking about no weed. So I said, he has to be included. I wasn't going to, I'll never put a man out in the cold that I've been with. We don't get along or we're not together. Oh, well, but you have to remember the good stuff that happened between the two of you. And that was that music. So he agreed. He said, okay, well, honey, almost a year went by. And before we could do the next concert, somebody shot and killed him in a robbery right there in the back in the alley where he lived. That was such sad news for the community. So I use my badge as a social worker because I work with the police department too sometimes when we picked up kids. I used my badge and I went to the police station and I told them who I was. So I was common law with him. And we're not together, but I still care about him and I want to know what happened to him. And, you know, when you honest and sincere with people, they'll help. That man didn't have to tell me nothing. That officer, he said, just have a seat and I'll find out who worked that case. And he came back out after about 30 minutes and brought this detective. And he told me, he set me down and he told me what happened to Henry. And he said, nobody in the community wanted to talk, but they knew who had shot him. And it was drug exchange. That's what was going on. And I thank God I wasn't in that world with him any longer. But he came from Anguilla. He was not a Jamaican. He came from a very nice family. And he got over here. See, the music business can be a good business and could be a dangerous business. And the ego that we walk with can deter what direction you're going in. Now, if you get your head too big, you got to have your head big a little bit because you want people to support you, look up to you, okay? But your head can't get bigger than yourself. And you have to live in reality. So Henry had a huge ego, huge. And when I find people that have those out of size egos, it's to their fault. And they are easily tricked. They're easily subjected to drugs. They're easily compromised. My ego get a little big when I go to the bank. That's it. You know, I'm on stage a lot. I was at the House of Blues, the Greek, the Bowl, Universal Amphitheater. I was always on somebody's stage or always on the radio, but my ego was never like, you know, I'm all of that. You know, I wasn't like that. So it was just unfortunate because Henry and I were really looking forward to the success of the Bob Marley days. And what happened was, in the middle of while him and I were breaking up, Henry booked Bunny Wailer on the up and coming concert. So he's talking about, he felt he had booked Jesus Christ. He wouldn't sleep. He wouldn't eat. I wake up, I'm like, are you still up? What? Well, Bunny Wailer's going to call me. Well, 3 hours of difference in time of California and Jamaica, but you could still go to sleep. So I saw that. I didn't like that. So he said, well, I got to get a contract with Bunny Wailer. I said, okay, get the contract. Anyway, he get the money and he says, you take it. I don't know if Henry couldn't travel. I don't know. But anyway, he said, you take the money to Jamaica. I said, me? Okay, I'll take it. So I took the money for the deposit because Bunny Wailer was like, you not giving me a deposit, I'm not coming nowhere. So I took the money to Bunny Wailer. When I say nice to me, Bunny Wailer was so nice. He put me in the house where his father lived. And his father was an older man and a very nice gentleman. So I slept in that house. They had guards and all that. They watched me. It was basically men, but nobody bothered me. And I wake up, they had my breakfast, and I think I was there for 2 days. And then I went to the studio while they did rehearsals and stuff, and they took me around. They thought I was a white woman. They said, this is a white Californian. I said, I'm not white. But anyway, I met Bunny Wailer's father. And Bunny Wailer was such a gentleman to me. But that's another person, just like the Wailing Souls and Henry and all those people that I saw was so disciplined. Honey, that Bunny Wailer at his rehearsal, I felt like I was in the army because, honey, they had to march and they had to be on time. They had to do this, they had to do that. And you got a break, but it only was when they let you have a break. It wasn't no slackness, and you weren't coming in there late, and you had to do it till you get it right. Well, they rehearsed and rehearsed, and I just sit there and watch it. And I said, these are some
I
serious
want to
people.
say that um Henry Thomas was correct in the fact that this was such a big, big event with Bunny Wailer because he hadn't left Jamaica since breaking up with
Bob.
leaving Bob. This was his first time because remember, he didn't want to fly on the Iron Bird.
Yeah,
He did not want to. So this show that that Henry hooked up with Jabi was major, major show.
it was. And it was good too. It was a good show. So I've talked quite a bit.
Barbara,
I'm sure you have some
Barbara,
questions.
Barbara.
Yes,
Question. Now,
yes,
when Bunny came, it was at the show he came to Long Beach State at,
yes.
and what you walking around with Don Carlos?
Could have been.
Because I know I think I saw you with Don Carlos and I asked Don Carlos was he going to be on the show, and he told me to check the bill, man, check the bill. I said the bill said and special guest, Bunny Wailer and special guest. So I didn't
Mhm.
know who else was going to be on the show, but I remember that.
Don Carlos was on many of our
Yeah.
shows, and he was a well received artist here in California. And he wanted to be on every show we had. Every, I mean that. But he couldn't be on every show because then I would have room to bring people that nobody had ever seen. And it was hard for me to explain that to a lot of musicians. Some of them got mad with me because they weren't on every show every year. They want to be on it every year. We paid good. We flew you in. We even got you a work permit if you needed one. I put up my social security number, paid money to this girl in immigration, and honey, they had work permits. Some of them never went back home, because they added other people on that application. They would add like their friends or brethren or a family member. And they would say they're the cook or they're the roadie. And a lot of them ended up staying out here. So
A lot
being
of
here,
them are still here because of
they're
those.
still here. Yeah.
So
Yes.
let me introduce you, Jenje. Uh, you've been helping out a little bit here, but this is the other co-host, Jenje.
Well,
Hey.
first of all, greetings and to all of everyone here that is on this Zoom call. And I want to greet you all in the name of everything good that you have in your home. In my home, we say Jah Rastafari. I was
Yeah.
so honored and blessed to meet Barbara at the beginning of my reggae runnings. And so it's been 40 years. 40 years that I have known Barbara, and Barbara watched me grow from a little girl to a woman now with grandchildren in the business. And
Yeah.
I feel very much a part of the Roots Reggae Foundation. Um, I was blessed to attend many, many, many Bob Marley days, many days. Um, oh, after rehearsals, we used to go to Joe's restaurant and that made sure we go eat some good Jamaican food over there. Um, it was just it was just surreal. Peter Tosh has a song called Reggae My Lightis. I have it. I have the reggae myelitis, and I since I've caught that disease, I haven't been right since.
I got it
Yes,
too, Jenje.
yes, in my soul, I just love it. I mean, to this day, now what's happening in Jamaica is what they refer to as the reggae revival. Because dancehall took such a strong hold of Jamaica, which it still has, because as in everything, young people are the heartbeat of the music industry. They're the ones that have the money, the time, the energy, and the effort to keep the music popular. So we respect them, and I don't too like the hippity hop or the dance hall, but I respect it. It says young people have their rights. But the roots artists, wow, we are losing so many of our artists, including my husband, Garth Dennis, who was a major player of two legendary reggae bands out of Waterhouse, Wailing Souls and Black Uhuru. And so that is my entry into reggae music. That is my foundation up until today, now that my sons, known as Blaze Mob, are now playing reggae music.
Wow. Nice. Nice.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Very nice.
Well, what I want to do now is go to the panel to see if anybody have any questions or comments. So I'm gonna start off with Delores. Delores, you want to unmute? Delores?
I'm here just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have much to say from a Jamaican standpoint. Reggae always rock you no matter how you feel, no matter how things is not going good with you. Once you put reggae music on and sit back and listen, it's a vibes that bring you high, and it kind of relax you and take you from one extreme to the other. And at the same time, it gives you peace when you listen to it.
Excellent. Excellent. You have any questions for Barbara?
Oh, she did a very good job. I have no question for her.
Thank
She's
you,
she is
Dolores.
the roots and the rare and rock of reggae. And since I come in America from Jamaica, she and my dad was exceptional. And now she and I are very, very close and very good friend because of my dad, Joe. And I respect and love her to the moon and back. And she know it. Big up, Barbara.
Big up you too. I met Dolores, by the way, in Jamaica because Joe was like, I got a daughter there and I got to send her some money. I want you to take this money to my daughter. I said, well, I'm going to Sunsplash. Oh, she'll come to you. And she did. And that's how I met her.
That's it.
So can you tell us who Joe is, please?
Joe is Joe McLean. He was a cook and he was also a restaurant owner. And Joe's restaurant was called Joe's Jamaican Universal Restaurant, correct?
Yes.
And he was first he was in the Santa Barbara Plaza area. No, first he was on Washington. Then he moved to the Santa Barbara Plaza area, and then he moved to what Obama in La Cienega. That was his last restaurant. But he cooked at all the festivals, and everybody knew they called him Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe. Yeah.
And he was a Jamaican, but he had also spent some years in England. So he had a whole different kind of style about himself. And he liked dominoes and cards and stuff. And he had a lot of energy. And he was the one I told you that would inspire me when I felt weak. Because see, here I am a promoter and a woman and not a Jamaican. So I ended up filing at least 5 police reports where people were threatening to kill me. And I didn't understand that. And he would just say, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just go on and move forward. So that he was my friend. And I remember you should always remember what a friend gives you.
Yeah.
All friends give you something. And I'm not talking about a piece of clothing or a cake or any, I'm just talking about how they have inspired you in your spirit. And he did.
Excellent.
He did.
Appreciate that. Okay. Let's go to Kevin O'Neill. You want to unmute? Just listening, Kevin. Okay, I'm gonna go to Collins. Collins. Question or comment? Maybe just listening. Then we have Ernest. You have a question or comment?
The only thing I'm glad I tuned in because I kind of got stuck on Bob and them back in 69, 70 when he was with the Wailers and Bunny Livingston and Peter Tosh. And then I kind of got off on them and I got into a little Peter Tosh and I mean, Scratch Perry and some of those guys. But, you know, and I just kind of limited my thing to Bob because my daughter every year she would buy me birthday or Christmas she would get me some 4 CD thing for Bob, so I probably got every record that he ever made put out. I have that, and then but I just got stuck in that one thing, and then I remember I'm thinking back about in the mid 70s I was in a motel room with some friends and the TV was on. My wife and I was there and we was with some other friends and Bob came on, you know, and was singing and the people in there, oh, turn that off, that old music. I wanted to say, hey, leave that on, you know. So they were trying to turn it off. And the thing who I was with, because my wife was a good friend of Smokey Robinson's ex-wife. And so they were in the different type of music and they hated the reggae, you know, but boy, that really piqued my interest from that TV show and then what I could find on the market to buy at that time. But like I said, and then I started listening to this 90.7 FM and Sunday mornings where they have reggae. And then whenever I think about it, I go out on the car radio and turn that on, you know. But and then I got a lot of I'm a kind of dabble in karaoke. I got a big karaoke set, and I got probably 1,000 karaoke records, and then most of them's Bob. You know.
All right.
So yeah,
I love it.
So listening to this, you know, some of these other guys like you know, the Mighty Diamonds and Burning Spear. I just heard them on the radio, but I haven't really bought any of their records or anything. I'm stuck in that Bob Marley thing. So now this kind of broadened my horizons. I have to start listening to more on the radio.
Well,
nice t-shirt you have there.
That was my goal, and Bob's goal is to expose reggae.
Yeah.
And he was not a selfish type of artist. He wanted the other artists to succeed and to perform. He did. That's why, you know, I don't want to sound negative what I'm going to say. The Marley Foundation, Bob Marley's foundation.
You can say it. You can say it.
It's like they don't walk how their father walked. They think they do in the studio with his words, but in the action, they don't. It's about them, and the door is locked to anybody else want to come in. Well, I got in, and I didn't get in by an invitation. I got in because I petitioned for Bob Marley to get a star on the Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame. And I did it right up under their nose. Now, not intentionally. I wasn't thinking like that. I'm just like, ooh, we got to get Bob the star. And I had, you know, it's like I have something in my mind like I did with the radio station. It was in the back of my head. So I said, well, I don't know how to get a star, but guess what? call 411. And I start asking. And then you get City Hall. You get, who was it? The president of the Chamber of Commerce. I just went from number to number. Remember, I'm a social worker, so I know how to keep finding what I need. And then I talked to Johnny. What was his name? Not Johnny Clark. Johnny. They called him the mayor of Hollywood. He has deceased since then.
Yeah.
But anyway, he told me, and he worked with a lady named Anna. They said, "Oh, well, he's Bob Marley's dead." I said, "Yes, he is." I said, "But he didn't get a star." So they looked at me and said, "Well, fill out this application." And I had to get a letter from the record company, which was Island, or a close to kin person. And I went after Rita Marley for the letter through, I think it was through Medea. So I got the letter, put the application in, and it took 10 years. I would have signage at the concerts in the lobby. You want Bob to get the star sign here? That's not how you get a star. But that's how you promote the energy. Because see, they never asked me for signatures and stuff. I could have got a gazillion. That didn't make him get that star. It's a committee that would approve it. So 10 years, after 10 years, I get the call that he's getting a star. Boy, did the paparazzi hear about it, and did they come out that day. And Bob's star was selected on Sunset, was this Hollywood Boulevard. But they put his star way down where there was a lot of homeless people. And me and Moss, I told him, he didn't even know I had applied for that star. But anyway, when we got it, that's when I started telling everybody. And he's like, "Oh, Barbara, that's great, that's great, that's great, that's great." So then they told us where it's going to be, and we said no. And they were like, "Well, that's the only place," and blah, blah, blah. So he's a Jewish guy, and he's a business guy too. So I said, "You better call these people and talk to them, because I don't want Bob's star way down there at the end of the block." So they moved it all the way up to La Brea. So it's in between Cecily Tyson and Earth, Wind, and Fire right there. So then they told us, "Well, it costs to get this star."
When did they put it up? I used to work for unemployment office in 99 to 2001, and I worked there on Hollywood Boulevard in La Brea. And every day I walk up there and look at the stars, Yes, I probably would have walked right by there,
Nice. Yeah, it's there. And somebody tried to vandalize it a couple of years ago, so they had to replace it, but they didn't ask us for any more money. But that star cost a lot of money. Because you can put it's like, don't put your foot in your mouth. I'm like, "Ooh, he got to get a star," and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's like they said, you have, I think it was something like, I think that star was something like about 20 grand, something like that. Honey, I didn't have no 20 grand. So I started telling everybody. Next thing I know, God is good. The record company and the foundation for Bob Marley, I felt, was embarrassed because they did not apply for him to get a star. See, I told you how they're just with themselves. They don't think outside. So they stepped up and said, "We want to be a part of it. You got to pay, put up or shut up. They could be a part of it." And we let them be a part of it. And they put money up, and it was Island Records put up money, and it was me and him and the foundation. So the money for us became very small, when you divide the pie up, and it was worth it. So the whole family came. Rita came. Press from everywhere came. England, Jamaica, Canada, Japan, Switzerland. There were so many people there. It was a beautiful thing, and it was one of the largest gatherings they've ever had for a star. They told me that. So, of course, journalists that are good journalists, they want to know after they, talk to Rita and Ziggy and all of them, who got this star for Bob? How did it start? How did it originate? And, fingers pointed to me. So I was interviewed too. And Rita and I had a conflict, not a big conflict, but we had a disagreement about a hotel arrangement that I had for her at one of the concerts. She thought I had put her in a shabby hotel, and I didn't. I had her at the Hyatt. It was a 5-star hotel, and she said, I don't stay. I only stay in Beverly Hills when I come to Los Angeles. I said, well, Beverly Hills is far from the concert, and you would have to be transported, to do the show, because that year I had the I3s. I had, Marcia Griffith, Judy Moat, and her. Well, she wanted to be in Beverly Hills, and she wasn't going to change her mind, and she wasn't having it no other way. I said, but we got press conference. The Hyatt was walking distance to the venue backstage. Plus, we could drive you there. You didn't even have to walk. We had drivers, good drivers. She insisted, which was a status, back to what I was telling you guys about that ego. You sound better to her in her head. She stayed in Beverly Hills, but the concert's in Long Beach. So that sounds dumb to me. And you stayed at the Hyatt. So I don't argue with people when I know that they are stubborn like that. And my partner, he had a good idea. He said, Barbara, why don't we do this? He said, why don't we give her the money that we would pay for the Hyatt and let her go and pay the difference? I said, that's fine with me. But we still had to pay our driver, to carry her there and carry her back when it was her day to perform. So I hear through the grapevine, this is the funny part though, I heard through the grapevine that she ended up with the biggest bill at that hotel because she went and burned incense and dropped them on those people's plush Beverly Hills, Bel Air carpet. So she had to replace that carpet. That cost her money for that. So that's what her and I had a disagreement there. Not a big, but enough. So she told me I thought I was smart because I was educated and I was making money off of Bob. And I told her, we lease out Bob's name and we don't pick the price. The foundation does. And for the last, about 5 years of the show, we paid that money, which was money that was an income for the foundation. And guess what? Between all of us, it wasn't a lot of money anyway. But they called the price. I didn't call it. If I was calling it, I would have called for more. But they didn't do that. So what they wanted is what we gave them. And then one year, it seemed like Ziggy's wife, whose wife worked for William Moore's agency, she thought that she was the smartest cookie in the cookie jar. And she was pushing that whole family to get away from us. And they did. And my partner, he was like, we can't use Bob's name anymore. Good. The foundation is already there. And the concert was produced by Ragamuffin Productions and Moss Jacobs Presents. I said, we're going to call this the Ragamuffin Festival. And do you know that was our biggest year? It was our biggest year. And Rita at the Star, she came over and she said, "I want to thank you, Barbara. I know we've had our differences, and we really didn't have no big differences. That was to me all a bunch of bullshit. But I listened, and she said, I really appreciate you getting Bob the star. I said, you are very welcome. He deserved that star. And then we went across the street to the knitting factory and had an after party. And that was that day on his birthday, February 6th, 2001. And we had little stars pass around. It was a beautiful day. And that's the picture. So I selected this song you're getting ready to hear, Hanging Out with the Wailing Souls, and listening to Half Pint's big song called Greetings to All Ragamuffins. Then I started finding out what's the definition of a ragamuffin. When I learned that it was something positive, something strong, against all odds, achieving, holding your head up, taking a lot of pride in your work, I said, I'm going to be Ragamuffins Production because I know I'm struggling in this business. I'm an American, I'm a woman, and I want to be a promoter, and I want to fight for the music. So I'll be a ragamuffin. And I became Ragamuffin Productions and still am Ragamuffins Production. And I love being a ragamuffin because you work harder when you're a ragamuffin than you would than if you wasn't. Because you want to put your best foot forward because people are expecting you to fall down, fail, not survive. And you can prove them all wrong just by doing the right thing. You do the right thing. Yeah, you do the right thing. Right is going to come out of it. You do the wrong thing. This is no right and wrong. And there's no wrong.
I thought.
I can't hear you.
You're muted.
That's what I had thought. I had thought that you came up with the name because of the song of Gregory Isaacs and Dennis Brown did, Ragamuffins.
Well, you thought wrong.
Apparently.
Greetings I bring from Jack to all ragamuffin. Greetings I bring from Jack to all ragamuffin.
That's the tune. That tune there.
Boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah. My God. That just felt good. That just felt good.
It did. And even now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Even now, if I have a task and I'm trying to do it, I don't care if it's to take a screw out of a piece of wood or is to get through with a loan at the bank. I don't care what it is. I just like, you a ragamuffin. And you're gonna do it. You're gonna achieve it. And you're gonna figure it. Because see, I don't like to put stuff together, but sometimes I'm in the house and there's nobody around me, and I gotta figure out how to assemble something. I'm like, no, I'm a ragamuffin. That's not gonna outsmart me. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it, and I'm gonna push till I get my success with it. So that comes from the inspiration of that song.
Huh? His name, is that his name? Half Pint?
That's his name. Half Pint. You got a lot of other music. Ease up for Mr. Landlord.
Yes, I never
he has a lot of songs.
Yeah. Huh? I never heard of him. Yeah.
Well, see, when it comes to music, and it doesn't just have to be reggae, you have to broaden your horizons with music.
Yeah. So I'm just
stuck
with Bob all the way. I got to ring myself from Bob and look at these other guys.
Go on YouTube.
Yeah.
And you know what's another good song by Half Pint?
What's
Roots
that?
Man.
What?
Roots man.
Roof man.
Roots.
Roots.
Man.
Oh, roots
Yeah.
man. Okay.
So you need a roots
Check
man
it
with
out.
strong arms.
It's so, and there's so many women in reggae. That was another area that we worked on. Remember, we had women in reggae. We featured the women.
Oh, that was Mashariki. You remember that? Oh, Simaret, Levi, Lori, Zima. Oh my gosh.
It's like the country western music now. Went through that a couple of years ago where they were like, where are the women? They're not getting what they should receive in recognition in the industry. And that's like in any industry. So we pushed those women, and then the dance hall opened up a lot of doors where women came in, like Ladies Saw and them. they had to get a little sexy to get in the door.
Patra was sexy bad. Patra, remember Patra?
Yeah.
Ooh, she was
but
sexy.
Patra, her song reached commercial radio.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, you know what? We had artists like Sean Paul, artists that are really big now. We've had all those artists. And I'm proud that we did that. Because look, and to Ernest, we could never book Bob Marley because he